Michigan's governor is under fire again for violating her own COVID guidelines again after getting caught unmasked, dining out with a bunch of friends, about a dozen. The governor responding in part, quote, "I went with friends to a local restaurant. As more people arrived, the tables were pushed together. Because we were all vaccinated, we didn't stop to think about it. In retrospect, I should have thought about it. I am human. I made a mistake. I apologize." Fox News contributor Ben Domenech is here with reaction. Good morning to you, Ben.
Good morning to you, Peter. I too am human.
Hold it.
And, of course, humans can make mistakes.
Right, and you just did.
But I just
you
did.
just did. My name's Steve. Okay, you're thinking of the tall guy at the White House. You called me
I'm
Peter.
so sorry.
You're as bad as she is.
I just think that one of the things that is going on here is that you have a governor who has been so vociferous in chiding her people,
right,
in undercutting them, in bringing them down, in going after them in so many different respects, and yet when you look at this situation, you have someone who has repeatedly violated her own orders, right, or stretched them in different ways. You saw the whole experience with her husband wanting to go out on a boat and right, citing, "Do you know who I am?" Earlier, and that's what we've seen from all of these politicians through this whole process, where they're unwilling to grant grace or forgiveness or understand humans who are going to make mistakes or violate rules in different respects. Instead, they go after them hammer and tongs, and yet they want a different standard for themselves.
Sure. And this latest instance where she broke her own rules, there were about a dozen people. The rules are 6 people or fewer at tables. They actually put 3 or 4 tables together, distances of 6 feet between tables, indoor capacity at 50% or 100 people, on and on. And you look at it, and you know what? You mentioned her husband. Then, of course, in June of 2020, she joined the George Floyd protest, violated her own social distancing rule. Republicans called for investigations into her handling of nursing homes. Top aide traveled to Florida for spring break after being told don't do that. She went on a private plane to visit her father. And then the latest thing is she violated it at the Land Shark bar. But Ben, she's a politician. Does anybody really expect her to follow her own rules? Come on.
Well, of course. I mean, obviously politicians are better than the rest of us. That's the thing that we all have to understand. They are our ruling class, our elite, and so the rules shouldn't apply to them. They should be able to get away with all manner of things. That's what we learned during the entire Hunter Biden experience, that you don't even actually have to be a politician. You can just be related to one, and then the rules just don't apply to you. In this case, though, I think seriously, looking back at the way that this pandemic was treated, these lockdowns were treated, not just by Whitmer, but by Gavin Newsom, right, by so many different officials across the country, we've seen these repeated violations of the rules that they've set up for us. And my response to that is we shouldn't have the ability of these politicians to set up these rules in the first place.
Right.
Their emergency powers turn out to be a lot more powerful than I think all of us really expected them to be, and their ability to crack down on American citizens and take away their freedoms quickly turned out to be a lot more significant than we thought in the first place. That's something that we need to go back and revisit. And one thing in particular, I think that this is a situation where we ought to have more of an ability to recall governors across the country, just as they do in California. Whether it results in them not being elected or not, it will at least have that threat put in place that makes them think twice about violating their rules in these ways.
Ben, I've got friends down in Florida who spend the summer in Michigan. They're not going back.